What's happening, everybody? It's Eric J. Olson for another Lunchtime Live, and I have an awesome guest today. Stephanie, what's happening?
Hey, so excited to be on, Eric. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah, I don't think I've seen you in a while. I certainly haven't seen a lot of people in person in the last few months, but
I think it's been a year. I think it's been a year. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it's crazy. Yeah, I just haven't really done much in the last 5 or 6 months as far as like getting out and about. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
So I know for you. So actually, before we get into kind of like what you've been up to and whatnot, can you tell everybody who's watching a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. I'm Stephanie Gorham. I am the executive director of Volunteer Hampton Roads. I've been at the organization for a little over 2 years. Been in Virginia for about 6 years. Previous to that, I lived in Texas forever. Been in a nonprofit world for about 20 years. Love it. Absolutely am in love with Volunteer Hampton Roads and what our mission is. Business is to volunteer opportunities. We equip our nonprofits with their human capital that they need, and we mobilize a community of volunteers to create positive change.
That's awesome. I know it's a great community. I actually went to one of the like the annual dinners maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. It was a big room packed with people, so pretty impressive organization. But could you kind of explain a little bit more about how it is that you help nonprofits? So I assume you're a nonprofit, but then you also help other nonprofits. Is that how it works?
Yes, Volunteer Hampton Roads is a 501c3 organization, and we support nonprofit organizations. Right now, we have over 100 members right now that we support, but we support in any kind of volunteer capacity need that nonprofits have. Not many of them have someone on staff to coordinate volunteer efforts. And it, volunteer, it sounds like it's easy to recruit, but it takes a lot of work. And so we're here to support all that we can with that. Cool.
So let's say I started a nonprofit and I didn't really know what to do, and I was kind of struggling, and I came to you. Sounds like you could possibly provide kind of like the executive director kind of level support. Is that what you're talking about?
So if you're looking to start a nonprofit, first I would say let's talk and look what else is out there and how you can support another nonprofit organization. We have a very saturated network, but we do help nonprofits when they're first starting out, looking at the staffing that they have, what their future staffing will be, and how they can build their capacity by including volunteers and also including a very skilled board of directors.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And actually, I really like the part that you said about like, let's see what a person wants to do as far as starting a new organization and see if there's something else already out there that does it. And I feel like that happens a lot where someone gets an idea and they all of a sudden have a passion and they spin off a new group, and there's already a group with that exact same mission. So in that case, I guess
it does happen a lot. Yeah, and it's not to anyone. I think I don't blame anyone for ever doing that, because they have, most people going into it. I mean, who wants to start a nonprofit? It's not exactly the luxurious, big paying job, but I think just knowledge of what's already out there is usually where we can be helpful and kind of telling them, well, there's something also already in action right now that you could maybe partner with them or look at extending a program.
Cool. Yeah. So like, let's say someone has a passion right now and they want to start a nonprofit, but maybe they didn't want to reach out right away. Is that something that's like on your website where you have kind of like a directory of nonprofits? Could they look it up there before they contact you?
Yes, we have a list of our nonprofit members, but they can just reach out to us. I mean, it's usually a conversation that we can have in like a 30-minute sit down or 30-minute Zoom.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll tell you what, before we wrap up the live, we'll put up your contact information, and maybe even go to your website. And hey, Sean, if you could bring that in, the website, and then we can show people how to like actually reach out and contact you. So
Cool.
You know, one of the things that we're doing here at Array Digital is every year we give away a website to a nonprofit organization. And this year we decided to give away the website to a nonprofit that is in the medical or healthcare industries, just because of all the things that have happened this year with COVID. And I mean, the healthcare professionals have really taken care of us. It seems like more than ever. And so we thought it would be good to give back. What have you seen as far as the impact of COVID on the nonprofit world in general?
Oh my goodness. Well, one, I saw your promotion of that, and I just want to applaud your efforts. That's amazing, especially for the healthcare industry in the nonprofit world. Gosh, there's so many things happening now in the nonprofit sector because of COVID. One, unfortunately, there have been layoffs. A lot of nonprofits have their big annual fundraisers in the springtime or the summertime, and those have had to either be canceled or postponed till the next fiscal year. So that hurts their bottom line, and unfortunately, cutting staff is had to be an option. Another thing, I'm seeing a lot of services needed. I mean, services previously provided, just the number of people in the community that require services now has increased. And I don't really have the data on, how much it's increased, but it's so much that we're finding organizations that normally haven't called on us to help with volunteerism, that they're calling on us and on a recurring basis, because they need help filling those staff positions that they no longer have. They have also to fill those volunteer positions that were normally held by, more experienced
Sure.
or the higher risk generation to COVID. And they, aren't going to, they don't want to put themselves in that situation.
I gotcha. Okay. So the impact of COVID, it sounds like, is general slowdown in I guess you'd call it pledges or funding that's coming in.
Oh yeah.
And then the impact is having to shrink the nonprofit organizations. And then on top of that, you've got the demographics that are susceptible to COVID. I assume what we're talking about is basically like the older generation of folks that typically volunteer. They're susceptible, so they don't really want to be out in the world. So you got a couple of things going on here when it comes to nonprofits that's really impacting them.
Yeah, I do want to add one thing. It's been a positive change I've seen, and it's amazing. And I really hope it doesn't die down. I've seen a lot of companies, foundations, both private and corporate and government, that are stepping up to fill those funding gaps for the nonprofits at a large amount too. And it's impressive, and it gives me hope, and I hope that continues, because I think right now it's helping a lot of nonprofits, but the real test will be, what does next year look like?
Yeah,
will that funding still be there?
No, that's amazing. So let's say that someone's watching right now, or they're going to watch this replay, and they want to help out, right? I assume what you're talking about is corporate donations have picked up to kind of like offset what's happening here. I also assume that the best way would be for them to reach out to you on your website or to contact you one way or another, and then you can kind of connect the dots with individual nonprofits, or do you kind of like disperse the money yourself? How does that work?
Okay, so we don't do any kind of funding, but we work in the human capital department.
Gotcha.
So, but what I've seen as an observer in the nonprofit industry, I've seen our corporate partners giving more to nonprofits during this pandemic, kind of because they see where the gaps are, and I see that they're filling in those needs, and our local community foundations, and it's just really nice to see everyone step up. Now, if people are interested in connecting with corporations for volunteer support, yes, please call me. I can help you.
There you go. Cool. That's awesome. All right. Hey, by the way, anyone who's watching, if you have a question for me or for Stephanie, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we will bring your comment up on the screen, and we'll address the comment right away. One of the things that we were talking about beforehand, before we went live, was benefits companies. Can you kind of explain what that is and who that would pertain to?
Yes. So just kind of talking about how volunteerism benefits a company. one is kind of I think the more obvious is that you've got a corporate social responsibility program, and, employee volunteerism just kind of falls naturally into that. Another is talent retention. We want to keep our talent here. That's like a common conversation at many of the community meetings I've been at over the past few years. Well, if you're looking at the millennial population, and I don't mean to leave us Gen Xers out or baby boomers, but we're kind of like, if we're going to leave, we're going to leave. We've already decided. But when you're looking at the millennial generation or our future Gen Zs, which I think I think they just entered the workforce, or they're about to.
They're entering now, yeah.
Yes, they're entering. Okay. So if you want to keep them there, get them engaged in the community. And you can do that at basically no cost to your company by getting them engaged in a nonprofit. But we like to work with the individuals in finding out, what are their skills, what makes them happy, what are they interested in, or what causes are they passionate about? And then we take that information and we match them to a volunteer position at a nonprofit, and it creates more of a long-lasting relationship.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay. So as a matter of fact, Tim has a question here. How can I get more involved in my local community? So I guess this is like the perfect question for you, right?
Yes. Yes. So as an individual, you can go to our website, and I think, are you guys going to, did y'all put that up somewhere? Volunteerhr.org.
We're bringing it up in just a second.
Sweet. So go there, click on I'm a volunteer, which is at the top menu, and you create a profile. And in your profile, I highly recommend that you list all the skills you're willing to share with the community. And then once you've submitted your profile or finish it, you'll get recommendations in about, I guess it takes about a few days. You'll get recommendations of some skill-based volunteer positions that would fit your profile or your interests. Another way to find opportunities is if you go to I'm a volunteer and it says search opportunities, you can just see what is already out there and you can self-select. Right now, I think we have about 54 different opportunities, and we always have, those are always changing every month. So that I highly recommend you visit that as often as possible. And it's kind of nice because every time you do volunteer, it keeps track on your profile, and you get to see kind of, where you've been. And that's just one way to get involved. We also place people on nonprofit boards, and you would do that through that same profile.
Nice. That's okay. So that, I think that's the secret sauce there, right? Is that people want, like Tim, if Tim wants to volunteer,
yes.
if there wasn't something like Volunteer Hampton Roads, he'd have to kind of like look for a nonprofit, or maybe just kind of like bump into one. And he may not even bump into one. So he may have this burning desire, but he doesn't know like how to like employ that, and and to actually volunteer, he can't find the nonprofit. So you help connect the dots, which is great. I love it. Okay, that's super awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of our nonprofits, they have great volunteer programs. We're just here to kind of boost their recruitment. We have a further reach, and we're kind of that central location for all of Hampton Roads to look for those volunteer opportunities.
Gotcha. So how many nonprofits are employing things like live streaming, just like we're doing right now? Like, is that something that anyone's looked into, or anyone's actually trying at this point to try to connect their community since they can't get connected in person?
So it's interesting. I actually was on one with Bob Batcher from Prime Plus, who is an awesome dude, and you totally need to have him on here. He just a great guy. So he's doing a live stream. I don't really know of many others that are the nonprofit. I know Tate Counts from the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce is doing one, but yeah, most people that are doing are in the business for-profit sector. And I kind of feel like that it might be one, we don't have a lot of funding resources in the nonprofit area. And two, time is also not as plentiful as one would hope to do something like this.
Yeah. Well, I totally understand the time part. Financially, I would say I think this is like what we're using right now. This technology is really reasonable. Starting at $100 a month. Oh yeah, it's amazing. So for anyone who's interested, we're using a tool called StreamYard. You just go to StreamYard.com. It's just $20 a month for the starter plan. Actually, I think there's even a free plan. So it's very reasonable, especially, you know, if you could connect that community, and they haven't been connected in a few months, so that, you know, something like that could actually work out.
We are definitely interested.
Cool. Yeah. If you want to learn how to use it, I'd be more than happy to kind of step you through and show you. I think it'd be really cool for you, especially, and again, we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but going out into the community, or going to different nonprofits and doing it mobile.
Yes.
And I think that would be pretty cool.
No, I think that would be an excellent idea. And I'm so glad you put that one in my head, because that would be a great way to show the larger community what our nonprofits are doing and what those volunteer opportunities look like in real time.
Yep. There you go. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we have a couple comments and looks like maybe questions coming in. So first one is from Mr. Scott Hunter from Insperity. What's up, Scott? Scott says the site has been a great way for us to plan team activities where we can give back to the community and simultaneously build our teamwork.
Oh, thank you, Scott. I'm glad you guys are using it.
Scott's been in the community for a long time, and yeah, we just recently reconnected. We used to actually work together many years ago. Oh yeah, back in the day.
Isn't the company though new to the area?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we reconnected because of his company coming, Insperity coming into town. And I think they've operated here for a little while, but they just opened a flagship office in downtown Norfolk.
Yes.
Sounds like an amazing company. Outsource HR, $10 billion a year, and still with the same founder, which is amazing. So maybe we'll be a $10 billion company.
Will you remember my name then, please?
You got it. I will call on you when we're a $10 billion company.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Next we have Chris Stewart.
Oh, Chris says, Chris.
Stephanie, in your blog, you mentioned hitting a grand slam on 6 months of quarantining and achieving absolute perfection at home learning. Could you please share your secrets?
I think he's spreading rumors. I'm not sure about that.
Homeschooling. Everyone loves that right now. Huh?
Goodness. You know, I have to say, I have such admiration for my friends and my community out there that have small children. I have 4 kids, all of them above the age of 12. And so I feel like this has kind of been easier for me. So I applaud all the parents out there with smaller children and doing this. I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I feel their pain for sure, because my kids are older and they're self-sufficient. Just they know what to do in front of a computer. I just need to tell them to actually like get in front of the computer for school. But yeah, if you're dealing with like young kids, kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and they can't pay attention, wow. Yeah. I mean, so it's the parents going back to school. So I definitely feel for them.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of interesting too. There's still so many conversations happening out there with the public schools and different nonprofits and the localities on how can we help parents like that. How can we all? It's really cool. It's seeing public-private partnerships coming together, saying, okay, what can we do to help alleviate some of that? Yeah,
I think it's just a challenge for everybody, and so the more help they can get, I'm sure they would appreciate it, man. Hey, one other thing I want to talk about briefly is I know you have a family volunteer day coming up. I assume that was originally going to be in person.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the plan now?
So we've done Family Volunteer Day for over 20 years. I think this is our 22nd year. It was a partnership between Points of Light Global Network and Disney. And we're part of the Points of Light Global Network. And we've continued doing it since day one. And it's always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And it's a day to kind of promote families to volunteer together, and also for companies to volunteer with their families all together. It's kind of a cool little team building moment. And we've done it for years at Virginia Wesleyan University in person with hundreds of people benefiting, many nonprofits. However, this year it looks different. We just want to, obviously keep everyone safe from what could, catching COVID. And so what we've decided to do is go virtual. Everything else is the same. You know, the sign up is the same. Companies, we ask them to sponsor just to help pay for all the supplies so that the nonprofit has zero cost. And then we put together all their care packages, and we will, yes, they'll have a pickup date. And then they can go do it. They can go create all of their volunteer projects. They could do it at their homes with their families. They could do it at their workplace with a small group if they want to still do the team building. We also have this year, we've added a component for individuals and families to sign up, which is different. We haven't done that. And then we will have a virtual platform where people will sign on, which I might want to talk to you later about a platform to use, because maybe you have some, I feel like you might have some better ideas. But what we'll do is they will come and meet virtually, and we'll have all our, you know, yay, hurrahs. And then they will meet, you know, in separate rooms virtually with their nonprofit and kind of learn about how the projects that they're creating are going to benefit that nonprofit and the clients they serve. So it'll, it's educational. It's, you know, it's you're giving back, and it's just, it's a wonderful time. And we're just hoping that people will still participate on a virtual level this time. Yeah.
Well, I think if people want to give back, then they'll do it virtually if they can't do it in person, right? So I mean, let's do what we can. Sean, can you put that URL back up real quick? So if you're interested in volunteering for that or participating, there is the URL. So go to that and get more information. And actually, there's one more event that I wanted to talk about, which is something that my company participated in. One of our employees, Jake Baines, was very interested in having us participate, and so he organized us, and we went to the food drive for the food bank. I guess it was around Thanksgiving time frame, and we all went for an afternoon. We just shut down the office and went and helped collect food, and it was actually great. Like, we all really enjoyed it, and we really appreciated it, and it was a good time. It was good for all of us to get together to do something for someone else on a volunteer level. So, and it really kind of got us thinking, like, there's so much more that we could do to help out, you know? So we do have the website giveaway that we do every single year. The food bank and the food drive is kind of becoming part of our normal routine as well. But I know that that's going to be coming up in only about 2 months or so. Is that about right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. November 21st. Yes, and that's it's on our website too.
How is that looking? That's going to be something that
happened.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah. How's what looking?
Oh, how's the actual food drive looking? Do you think that that's going to be impacted by COVID? Or like, I'm sure you're going to have a virtual component, but you can still do like the actual like drive through and whatnot.
So, so Volunteer Hampton Roads used to do the food drive, but it all went back to the food bank a few years ago. And I'm pretty sure they're going to still do it because the need is huge. However, I don't know if they're going to go virtual. I would imagine they're going to go virtual, but I don't know. I would definitely visit the food bank website to find out. And yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right. And then Chris posted once again, in all seriousness, though, has there been a more trying time for nonprofits in modern memory? Can you speak to the food-related needs alone in our region?
So in my modern memory, no, I think this has been the most trying. And I think that, unfortunately, it's not over. I think that, you know, we're going to see a pretty large percentage of smaller nonprofits closing in the next 18 to 24 months. Because there is funding happening now, but it's, you know, companies can only, you know, give so much. You know, there's companies who are getting a hit too. So I don't think we're done seeing the trying times for nonprofits. As far as food related needs, that is the majority of what we are doing right now in our active volunteer recruitment. We've recruited almost 5,000 volunteers since March to support food packaging and delivering through 12 different organizations, because it's such a huge need. There's so many people laid off. There are people that can't leave their homes. You know, just that is probably, I mean, that and healthcare, I think, are the biggest needs right now. Shelter too. I think there's just so many. Domestic violence, you know, mental health. It's
never ending.
A lot. Yeah. A lot of services needed and a lot of funding needed to make the services happen.
Got it.
So I'm putting a plug out there for all my nonprofits. If you guys, so all you companies and anyone who's looking to give, please find a nonprofit that you're passionate about. And if you don't know one, call me. I'll tell you, because they all need money right now.
Totally agree.
Yes.
All right. We have another question from Tim. What would you say to people who don't have enough time to volunteer? It seems like a common excuse.
You know, I do actually believe that there are seasons that people just can't volunteer. You know, I mean, I think you want it to be mutually beneficial. I want the volunteer to enjoy it, and I want the nonprofit to get a quality, time with the volunteer. I don't really say anything. I just keep that relationship open and tell them, well, can you help us advocate and recruit other volunteers? Is there someone, I also think that sometimes when people say they don't have time, they don't realize all the opportunities out there. There's so many different ways of volunteering, and usually we can find something that fits everyone.
Yeah, that was a very nice way to say that, because I would have probably said it a little more direct, and I will. Like, if you want to volunteer, you'll find the time. Right. Yeah. So just like with anything else, if you want to exercise, you'll find the time. If you want to diet, you'll find the time.
Yeah.
If you want to do anything, you'll find the time. So if you want to volunteer, find the time, right? You may have to juggle a few things around, and as Stephanie said, that there's opportunities where you can probably do something maybe early in the morning or late in the evening, depending on your schedule. Like, you can fit it in. So I would reach out to Stephanie and see what the options are, because just don't assume that you don't have time. Reach out to Stephanie and she'll probably find a fit for you.
Yes, I will. And we have a lot of virtual volunteering happening right now too. So
perfect. Well, there's a lot of people that are stuck at home and bored, right? So they can put their skills to work right now.
Yes, so. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, awesome, Stephanie. Do you think there's anything else that the audience should know about before we kind of wrap this up?
I don't know. I think that I really want to encourage everyone to think about, if you do fall into that category of, I don't feel like I can volunteer right now, I don't feel like it's safe, I don't feel like I have time. There are different ways of volunteering. There's remote volunteering, there's virtual volunteering. There's, in ways of like just writing encouragement cards for seniors who are isolated right now, making comfort calls for, those who are homebound, or just, helping a nonprofit with a website. I mean, there are so many opportunities, and I would love if you would reach out, and I could connect you with those, because the needs are growing and we need you.
There you go. There we go. All right. So reach out to Stephanie, go to the website, volunteerhr.org. There's plenty of opportunities out there. If you want to help, you can find the time and you can find the opportunity. So thanks so much, Stephanie. Before we wrap up, I do want to remind everybody that we are at my company giving away a free website to a healthcare or medically related nonprofit. Applications are open until October 31st. Just go to thisisarray.com/nonprofit and submit your nonprofit there. All right, Stephanie. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll talk soon. I'll see you soon.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.